Hey, what's going on, everybody? What happened? I woke up after Thanksgiving and I get to look at the markets crashing. Anyway, happy Friday, everybody, November 26th. Yeah, look, I saw it just like I'm sure all of you saw it. Market down hard today, really hard on news of a new COVID variant popping up in South Africa. World Health Organization calling an emergency meeting. I mean, they didn't even call an emergency meeting for the last variant, the Delta variant. So I don't know. This was definitely something that, look, let me just put it this way. It's a holiday. Markets are really, really thin. I cannot tell you how many times in my career, which goes back more than 40 years as a trader, I cannot tell you how many times, I have witnessed this in a holiday period with really, really thin markets and super exaggerated moves. Now, I'm not saying that, this is going to recover on Monday, but this is classic. I mean, this is classic. This morning I woke up, like I had all these buy orders, these limit orders under the market in various stocks, and my phone was just going off, beep, 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 like every 2 seconds, man. I was getting filled on orders that were, well below prior market levels, but I just had them placed there thinking that, if we do get a pullback, I want to buy these stocks. And I got filled on just about every single one of them, I think. But yeah, my phone was clicking off for a good 5 minutes. This is a classic. I mean, again, I've seen this so many times in thin markets. I used to trade a lot, leading into holiday periods, and I got burned so many times doing that. I mean, these are back in my old trading days when I was really kind of more very short-term oriented, and I wouldn't pay attention to the fact that, hey, it's going to be a holiday, it's going to be very thin market participation, moves could get exaggerated, you could get really high volatility on a lot of times just nonsense. It could be something technical, it could be a headline that pops up over the holiday or whatever. So again, you got to step back, you got to stay calm, you got to step back. The COVID situation is, looking a little bit ugly again, looking a lot ugly. It is flaring up. Europe, in various places, having new lockdowns. This new variant threatens more lockdowns. But again, I will say that we are in a different situation than the very first time that COVID hit, or when it really started to impact back in early 2020. Okay, nobody was prepared for it at that time. Vaccinations were not available. I mean, they weren't invented yet. Fiscal support was running, at levels far below where we see it right now. Okay, even with the cutbacks that we've seen recently in the fiscal support. I mean, I give you these numbers every single day. So again, I mean, you got to take it for what it is. It's an emotional reaction in a really, really thin holiday market. Most participants are not in the market right now. And if anything, it affords really good opportunities to pick up stocks or put positions on, in this correction when everybody is freaking out and panicking. You always have to go against emotion. You always have to go against panic. The one thing I will say, and I spoke about this in a prior video, the day when Biden announced the 50 million barrel release from the SPR, all right, there was almost universal mocking of that decision by so-called oil experts. I mean, I follow a lot of these people on Twitter. All of them, bar none, were saying this is a joke. It's just going to cause oil to go higher. And I said, I was a little bit skeptical of that kind of universally aligned bullish view on oil for the one thing, and I think I mentioned it. We had something like 5 of the last 6 weeks where oil inventories had been building up, okay? And that was without the SPR release, or at least not that we knew of. And then we saw, again, in the last report, 7 of the last 9 weeks we have had a build in oil inventories. So oil inventories have been building up. Now, they're at a 4-month high right now. Now you're going to get the release of the SPR. So I was skeptical at all the universal bullishness that I saw out there from these oil experts. Of course, I didn't know that we were going to have this, huge crash in the stock market that's obviously dragging oil down further than probably it normally, would have fallen today, for sure. But that was the catalyst. Today was the catalyst. And I think it just points out once again, when you start to see just opinion aligned in one direction, like universally, I saw this about the dollar the other day. There was an article, a headline, and I think I clipped it out. I maybe even put it in my MMT Trader report, that the dollar is only in a win-win situation. In other words, no matter what happens, whether the Fed raises interest rates, the dollar's going to go up. Whether the Fed stays pat on interest rates, the dollar's going to go up. So, it's one of those views where like, okay, it's a let's throw in the towel. We give up. It's just going to go one way and you never have to think about it. When you start to see opinion expressed like that, and that really displays a high level of, frustration, a cry uncle, like they can't take the pain anymore. They don't know how to explain it. It's really like throwing your hands up in the air. That says a lot about the psychological makeup of the market. When people just fall in line like that, 100%, and when they say there's, the old TINA, T-I-N-A, there is no alternative. It's just going to keep going up. You got to pay attention to those kind of things, okay? Now, you might say, hey, Mike, that has been your position on the stock market, but it hasn't. I said, look, we have the underlying fiscal support to keep the economy supported. Now, if we go into lockdowns again, that does not end those transfers from the government into the economy. It shifts the nature of the economy. It changes the composition in a sense. Remember when we had the lockdowns in 2020, you had technology did very, very well. You had people at home. They were working from home. You had Zoom. You had Amazon. You had a lot of things. It only changes the composition. It doesn't change those income transfers from the government into the economy. That's the thing, I always say, that's the thing we have to stay focused on. That's the key thing, and I keep repeating this. If they come out and say, hey, now we're going to do fiscal austerity, we're going to cut the deficit, we're going to balance the budget, then we're in big trouble. We're in big, big trouble. But that's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, that is not going to happen, and I doubt we will see any sort of political thrust strategy towards reining in the deficit, regardless of who's in power, the Democrats or the Republicans. MMT, as much as it may be criticized still in mainstream economic circles, now it's understood that there are no limitations. It's a political debate like where the priorities are going to be, but nobody's talking about bringing down the deficit. And as long as those transfers continue, then like I say, you got to buy these dips. So that's what I did today. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Hate waking up after Thanksgiving and seeing this, but I got filled on a lot of good orders and I'm really happy about it. And have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.